Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Tuesday lighting critique. A couple of reminders for today before we get started. So we've got, again, Thursday is our Foundry presentation. We're going to be launching the lighting challenge for this month. Make sure you register for that. Also, just a heads up to you guys, I'll make an announcement about this too. No lighting critique on Thursday because we'll be doing the presentation. Most of my day will be focused on that. But we will pick up everything on Friday. And then the second thing was, if you're watching this right after I post it, remember 1 o'clock live, I'll be announcing the winner of this month's lighting challenge. So, okay, let's get into the critiques. So first off, we have Alfredo with this the monster attack scene. And I think this looks great. There are the only thing that I would have, and like I know that you have a UV problem on the neck and that on the tongue and inside the mouth. Yeah, you can only do so much. I think it looks pretty good as is. The only things that I would consider doing are one is just rendering it with motion blur to make sure to get that in there for the final version. Upping the samples on the smoke and stuff because it's pretty noisy. And then the one thing, and this is totally a non-lighting thing, but I almost wonder, because I've never noticed it before, and it's something about this lighting setup because I think it's brighter and it's more daytime. If you watch his screen right arm, like watch the way it kind of penetrates through there, right? Especially in here. If you want to, I mean, you can just live with that. That's fine. Because like, I mean, who's looking at his arm? We're all looking at his mouth. But one thing you could do is have that arm go into shadow over there, which is a pretty common thing when you're like on a project and you don't have time to fix it. So yeah, so I think this, but other than that, I think this looks good as is. I think you're good to render it with some motion blur and then up the samplings on the smoke effect, so there's not quite as many fireflies in there. But really, really great job. Now I want to look at Gloria's. We've got 2 breakdowns on our project she did. So this is literally just looking at the 2 breakdown styles. So this is version A. And Gloria, while I have you on here, make sure you send over your final version of this because we can post this to the Hall of Fame because this looks really good. I like that. Just out of the gate, I like that. I like this breakdown. The one thing about it is there's a couple parts where, because it goes fast, and then there's like a couple parts that like it feels like it stops. Because like looking at the beginning, like going from the beginning here. Let's go. So we're like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, like right there. Do you feel that hesitation? And maybe I'm just looking at the wrong spot. 1, 2. Okay. Da, 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 da. I think there might just be too many iterations in there. So like, it's really, really cool the way that you do it, but it like some of those like individual lights that get put in, like like in this area where it's like pop, pop, pop. You can group those together and make that like one major change, because you kind of start to lose some of them, and like you don't really get a good sense of what's happening, but really, really good stuff. Good use of the caustics, by the way. Looks really nice. Okay, let's take a look at the other one. Okay. I think I wouldn't do that. I get the effect, and I think it's a lot of fun, and I think you can use it in other situations, but in your demo reel, you really do want to be. You don't want to be too cute. You want to be very straightforward, and I think that you can just do this breakdown, because then you're not distracted. You're focused on the lighting. You're not distracted by the edit of the reel itself. But it's a good try, and I do think it was worth testing through, and it's fun. But I do think that I would go with this one. And I would also group together some of the adjustments that you made, so that you can feel like really, really feel each step of the buildup, right? And we're not missing any pieces. Then just make sure they're all timed the same, because it's because again, I'm watching this without any sort of like music or anything, which is generally how I review demo reels. but you want to visually feel the rhythm of it, like the bop 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 bop. You want, like, it's very satisfying to have that throughout the whole thing. But this is a great project, and I think that you broke it down really well too. So again, send over the final, so we'll post it up to the Hall of Fame. So great job there. All right, let's go through. We'll go through alphabetical order. So Amy, this is a character lighting shot. Oh wait, here's your reference. Move this over there if I can. Oh, weird. Okay, so you got your reference and you got your image. This looks like out of the gate, this is really great. The like biggest differences between this reference and what we're seeing from the character is just the amount of detail in the skin. So like in this, there's just like a ton of small, what I like to call small shapes, just like small hits of light, kind of all over the place, hitting every wrinkle, every crevice, every object is getting like little bits of like each key here around his neck. It's like fling, 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 where this is more broader shapes. So I would challenge you to try and see if you can get a little bit more of these small shapes in there and getting just some more like hint detail light on that, like the buckle of this, or like a little bit here or a little bit down here. And trying to just like get a little bit more in there. The other thing, I'm looking at the quality of the shadow. It's fine, but this is a little bit sharper and a little bit darker than the reference. And there's, again, nothing wrong with that, but like I do like that there's a little bit of warmth on this side and like a little bit of coolness on this side. So I'm wondering if in this shadow, if we could add, like, instead of it going like kind of a darker, like if we can get a little bit of warmth in here, and on this side just like a little bit of coolness in that shadow, like especially down in here too. But overall, it's really, really looking good. One thing about, and actually, you know what, that might be okay. Watch out for like how sharp that shadow is on his on the wrist of the character there. Just because like the light would kind of come out the sides here, and directly above it wouldn't get as much light. So I'm thinking that we may, actually, you know what, overall we may just want to tone down this region here and just keep it light emanating from there. Because I can convince myself that it's hitting some of these other areas, but directly up above, especially when the top of this is so dark, may not be able to get there. But I do want to point out you're doing a really great job of getting a lot of fun secondary lights in there. But I think I would tone, like this light here, it's really a really nice kick rim light. I would tone it down there though, just because it makes me want there to be like some sort of light source there that's causing that. And maybe even still, it's like this is right here, and that would be the brightest thing in the image, and then this is kind of challenging that without a strong source to justify it, if that makes sense. And then watch out for these specular highlights there. And then on the background, I mean, you did a really great job of matching this reference on the background. I would just darken it a little bit back there as we get down towards the bottom to really keep the focus up. But overall, this is like, it's like for a first submission on a character, you're blowing it out of the water. That's amazing. In terms of your other submission, this looks great. Not quite sure what's going on there. That's wacky. I don't know if something's going on with the UVs. But like I said, this is just this project is more about like getting through the process of understanding how to read and reference light, how to look at it, how to adjust it, and just getting your feet under you there, which you've clearly done a good job of, and posting and receiving feedback and making some adjustments. So you've definitely hit the goal there. If you want to clean that up, go ahead. But I think that we are good to move on from that and focus on more projects like your other character there. So good job there. Diana, this looks great. This is really nice coming out of the gate. I love the patches of light that you're getting back here. It really makes the scene feel bigger. The one thing that I'd really like to see is it might be more subsurface. It might be more warmth in the fill values, but I want to get more happiness on these characters, and by that I mean more warm values, because I think we can push that a little bit more push this a little bit in this region, then we can brighten them up a little bit. This is a crude mock-up, but something like this that's pushing their values a little bit brighter. She might be getting a little bit too bright, but just something that makes them feel a little rosier, a little glowier, a little bit more in that like love. Like you want to bask them and bathe them and comfort them and wrap them in warm light. The other things to watch out for. So I would... Two things about this glass. One is the reflections are looking a little janky. I'm not quite sure why that is. That might be the geo on the glass itself. The other thing that I would do is I would shy away from using words down here. Words, faces, numbers tend to draw the eye a little bit too much. And I caught myself like looking over there and wondering what that said. Like... I mean, obviously, like after thinking about it for a second, it was like Baker's Kitchen. But I was like, is it like something about poker? Because I just looked at a poker post one. Anyway, I would just make this maybe like a logo, or just keep it clear. But the words can be a little bit distracting down there. And then the leaves could use a little more subsurface, I think, on them, and a little more spec. I love the spec that you're getting on them. I just think it could be more. Yeah, but all in all, this is really, really starting to come together. You could also push a little bit of rim light on them too, and justify it as light bouncing off the wall and just getting a little bit more on their backs there. Yeah, but overall, yeah, really, really, really looking good. Yeah, that's all I got for today. But keep going. Hisham, this is looking really beautiful. I still, if you want to do anything, because right now I think this looks really good. If you want to do anything at all, it would just be adding a little bit, like I said, a little bit more warmth into these shadows. But other than that, I think this looks great. I love the look. You've got more value back here, which is nice. There's more life beyond the trees, which is good. I love the way that these characters back here make the space feel more vast, but they don't occupy any of our attention. We're just kind of vaguely aware that they're there. Yeah, I think this looks great. It looks like you got some film grain in there. Yeah, that works. Just let me know, and like I said, I would like to post this to our Hall of Fame if possible. So let me know when you got your final image all set up and ready to go. But really good job there. John, very, I don't know what this is from. This is a really beautiful image though. It's like really, really well lit. We've got the kind of top down light that's hitting really the top of him and emphasizing on the shoulders. We do have a subtle underlight that's hitting up underneath his chin and up underneath his nose there. And then like it gets kind of dark, but then we get like these little eye dings in there that really kind of pop that thing forward. So it's a fun little breakdown. So you're hitting all the notes, right? You've got the top down light. You've got this little bit on there. I would like to see, I guess maybe it's a matter of putting this underlight more underneath them, because I would like to see this core area get just a touch darker, like the way it is around the eyes here. Because the underlight's really just underneath that stuff. It doesn't actually wrap around onto the front at all. So I would push that back a little bit, allow a bluer, darker thing in there, and then yeah, and then I would tone down this here and this one here to kind of like flank our eye more in the middle. And I would push the saturation more on the background. It's a little bit stronger of a blue feel back here. I would just push that up a little bit too. And that's it. I think that looks really good otherwise. Jordan, nice updates. It's funny how, because lots of times in staging and in animation and everything before lighting, everything kind of gets staged from just what looks good to the camera and kind of like the 2D space. And this happens all the time. And by the way, this was in response to Jordan saying that the wall, which is like clearly right next to him here, was actually much further back in space than he was anticipating. And I get that all the time. Like that happens a lot to lighters. Like I had one time in Rio where the birds like slammed into a wall, and I couldn't get the contact shadow. And then I really looked closely and I realized that they were actually like the wall was here and the birds were like slamming into the wall and like maybe 6 inches away from it. And I asked the animator, and it was like, oh, yeah, because otherwise the feathers on the follow-through would have penetrated the wall, and there's no way to make collision on that. And I was like, oh, man. But, like, so I had to fake all those shadows in there. It happens. But in terms of the lighting, I think my biggest takeaway is just I want to see more light on the wall. I think it's really good what you have there, and I love that you're emphasizing the specularity of it. But I think we can get just more value. And I'm saying that because like looking at him and the amount that we're seeing there, it's really strong. And this again feels about the same distance away as him. So I think just keep pushing it and keep pushing more light on there would be really good. Also, there's this weird part in his hand right here in the middle that doesn't get that warm light. It kind of neutralizes it a little bit. And I just like maybe take a peek at that and I think that would be good. And I know you're still working on the eyes, so I'll leave that for now. And we'll go from there. So, Louise, this is looking good. I think if some thoughts for the next iteration. I think the teeth can go a little brighter. I think this light is really good. But I would make a brighter bit right around here where the bulb would be. And then I would stop its fog a little bit shorter, so it kind of stops in this region here. I like the values that you're getting on everything. I do think that we can go brighter just on the eyes, because you're getting some good shaping there. But I'm wondering if just to get the eyes to pop a little more. Again, not necessarily the most film noir-y thing to do in the world, but like in animation, we do have the luxury of popping these a little bit stronger. Let's see. Might be a little much, but something more along these lines just to kind of get the eyes to read a little stronger. And then one thing you may want to consider is making the area outside the window brighter, and so it's like a little bit more blown out, because right now it just feels a little bit gray and clipped. Play around with it. If you like the way it looks, maybe give it a try. Maybe try one version with it, one version without it for next time. But I do think it just feels like it might either go darker or go brighter out there, depending on the mood that you're trying to set. Because right now it just kind of feels in the middle, like maybe 18% grayish, which is kind of falling in the midpoint. So I would push it one way or the other. All right, Shibli, this looks it's looking really good. Background looks a lot better. I think it's fine for now. I don't think that you necessarily need to add geo. I do think the light coming down from above is a little bit too yellow. Just because like it's kind of infusing all of these chips with like yellow highlights coming down from the top. I would like to see a little bit, like give it a try where you neutralize that a little bit and allow us to think that, because I don't necessarily need to know that the light coming down from above is the same color as these. These could just be like some simple rims and stuff. But I think that if you were shooting this, the goal would be to white balance for the light coming down on top of them. And so I think doing that might help. And also I would try, I like the bounce on all of the limbs, the tentacles. I do think that the light that's coming in here is kind of making him a little bit frosted, because it's pulling him off of the hero red color a little bit more. Because like I'm seeing good reds here on the tentacles, but on his face it's a little desaturated. So I would pull that light back, or perhaps warm it up a little bit, just to play with his hero color a little bit more. Okay, so that is all for today. It's 12:30. In about a half hour, I'm gonna go live on the Discord server for the first time. We're gonna give that a try. But great job, everybody, and I look forward to seeing what you have tomorrow. All right, happy lighting, everybody.